Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Meet the Industry. It's Jonathan from the Howard Hospitality Group, and joining me tonight, I've got Kallitayah and Michael from Tinker Toys and Hobby. Welcome, you guys.
Hey,
Hi. How we doing?
pretty good. Nice
Yeah,
sunny day, and we got our dog with us, so she might be making small guest appearance, but right now she's just laying down. Good day.
nice. Well, it was really cool because we got to meet you guys at MBVA this year, and I'm so glad you guys got to go. Before we even get started on all the questions, you guys want to tell people what you thought at MBVA this year? Because that was your biggest thing you've done so far, right?
It was so overwhelming. That was also our first adult trip we planned ourselves. So that
Nice.
was just like a whole new experience. It was really exciting though. Way busier than I think we were even really anticipating, even with everything everybody had told us and seeing the last videos and everything. But overall, it was a really exciting experience.
We talk about it all the time still, like how much we learned and how much we're applying to the stuff that we learned, and we kind of refer back to certain things that were being said in the interview and the people that are talking about what makes vending such kind of like a privileged career to be taken part of. We always talk about like how we can apply that and the stuff that we learned, because I think there was one person that said that what you learned there will be worth the cost of the trip, and we believe that the day that we left. So it was a great thing. We're not going to miss it any other year.
And there's one other thing you did while you were there that not many
Oh yeah.
people know, but that was kind of a big deal. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so we got married while we were there, which was super exciting.
How many months did we plan ahead before we did that?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's not, hey man, and
We've
you
been
know what?
together for
To plan your first trip and to go to a city like Las Vegas, like it's so big and there's so much going on. I mean, that's a big deal. Like I'm impressed. I can't believe you guys did that all by yourselves. And it's so cool to see that you guys are thriving and doing so well. And it was really awesome to meet you. And I know that you're very excited about, helping out with MBVA and the industry and your videos and everything. And that's why we wanted to do this interview tonight, just to kind of give you people a different side of you and a little more personal, because you do a really good job of doing a nice vlog of what you guys are doing with your store and stuff, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But it's nice to get some opinions on things that you may not talk about just because you're focused on what you're doing. But these kind of the questions that I have, is something that hopefully you may have not have thought of, so far, or maybe kind of, and there's some funny ones in here and stuff, but I think that you guys have come so far in such a short amount of time, and your followers, I mean, you guys have already passed us up, and we've been doing this for almost 2 years now with our followers. So, granted, we haven't been banking a lot of videos lately, but we've been pretty busy, and we got a lot of stuff going on. And then the kids are really busy, but so we usually kind of in the beginning, we do like a break the ice question to something kind of fun. And the question I want to ask you guys is, because I know you guys play claw machines and games and stuff, and I know you're really into that. What would you say that your favorite video game or amusement game or a claw type game or anything that of all time would be?
All time. I'm trying to think back to NBVA because that's kind of where we got to see the showcase of a lot of what is available. How many did we actually play? We were so busy talking to people and meeting people. I'm not so sure that we even got a chance to play any machines.
When you were growing up, did you go to like any restaurants or anything that were, they had a game that you'd always play when you went in there and dropped some
Oh,
quarters
I
in?
liked the tractor time one. When I was a kid,
Oh,
that was always the one I'd go straight for because there was one time, and at the time when I was a kid, I thought maybe it had malfunctioned or something. I think the vendor was trying to just get rid of their product because it just let you keep playing over and over and over and over.
oh,
And now
nice.
looking back, it makes sense. But as a kid, that I was just always fascinated with that machine because of that one experience.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the same small town that we're running most of the store and the business in now. And there was only one pizza place here that actually had giant claw machines. And the very few times that I went there and actually tried to play them, I never won. So there was a really short period of time where I gave it a chance. And ever since then, I just realized, okay, I'm no good at these games, so I'm not going to play these anymore. And then we just transitioned to owning our own. So, and I still can't win anything. I don't think I've ever won a claw machine game before.
You know what's funny, Michael, is that, a lot of people in their life never learn that. And that just goes to show that you're smarter than most kids, because, a lot of kids would have just kept trying to dump their money in there, not realizing that they probably weren't going to win. But you being as smart as you are, I could tell you're extremely intelligent, that you picked up on that right away. Like, I'm not going to waste my money on that anymore. That's pretty smart. Yeah. Very
Yeah,
cool.
we've made back what we've put in at this point because now we're letting the other kids have that chance. So
So, everybody wants to know, and you know, I'd like to, if you would start like how you guys met and got together, because you're doing it together. So it is, you know, everything's together. The business, you know, you got married and everything together. So maybe go back to like how you guys met and how you guys came up with the idea or to get started in the business and all that. If you would tell people your story.
So we met all the way back in high school, and the only reason we actually ended up meeting the year that we did is because I thought I was behind on credits to graduate. And so I basically like switched schools and went back a year and ended up in the same class he was. It was an ornithology class. It was all about birds. We raised chickens. It was a lot of fun. But that's where we ended up meeting and, you know, getting together and all that. Turns out I wasn't behind on credits. I graduated like 2 years early. So we were fine in that regard, but you know, it gave me the chance to meet him, and I guess.
So my point of view was, so from her perspective, she was taking that class to try to catch up on credits. So this was 10th grade for both of us, and I never did good at school at any point. And I think 9th grade was like my worst year, where I was basically the worst version of myself, which I'm sure a lot of people are in 9th grade. But 10th grade, they finally started letting students start picking their classes. And I don't know what changed, but over the summer, I was like, I'm just going to choose the hardest classes: Spanish, physics. I don't even know what ornithology is, but it's hard to pronounce, so I'm going to do it. And
Right.
then we did it, and it was a small class. It was our favorite teacher, still our favorite teacher. And he was a really good example to us early because he was a full-time teacher, a nurse student, and he also ran a business with his family. And he was probably only like a couple years older than we are now doing all of that.
Wow.
So it's just, that was kind of like how it is. She was trying to make up on credits. I was trying to actually challenge myself, and we ended up having one of our favorite classes and our favorite teachers, and we stuck around with each other.
Yep.
I know, it's disappointing, isn't it?
So there, so there was a few years between that where we didn't really know what we wanted to do. We went to college a couple times, and then, you know, every single time we went, we ended up switching what we were doing because we had no idea what we wanted to go for. We just went because that's kind of like what people said the next step was supposed to be. And it was the very last time we went to college. Well, while we were taking those classes, I don't remember what you were going for. Was it accounting?
In the beginning?
No, this very last time.
Oh, business management.
Okay, well, it was business management for him. I thought I was going to be a nurse. That didn't work out, obviously. But we ended up ordering our first machine in the middle of the night because we didn't know what we wanted to do, but we knew what we were, you know, the path we were on. It wasn't really what we wanted to be doing long term. We wanted to be doing something for ourselves, and we weren't really sure if vending was going to be it. But at the time, we were like, well, if we don't like this long term, it's going to be a stepping stone into what we do want to do in the future. So
nothing was really working out till that point, I don't think. I mean, not how we would want it to be. So that was kind of like the, let's just go nose deep and see what we can do, and, you know, hopefully that we can put enough time and passion into it we own, that we could operate and make the decisions on, was ultimately what made it something we wanted to grow into more, because it was ours finally.
Right. So you guys started with bulk, right? That was your first machine? Yeah. So just like a triple shop type machine, or what did you guys start with? What was the first machine?
It was our first Dairy Queen location. That was a place that we used to work at, and the owner let us put our machine there. It was a rack that had 1-inch capsules, candy, stickers. It was a pretty well-rounded rack, actually. It's still my favorite machine that we own. Yeah. And then we also got a 3-head sticker machine, which took months and months to finally go place, but it actually, you know, been one of our favorite machines too. We really like doing sticker machines. Those were one of our favorites in the beginning.
Yeah. We do a lot of sticker machines too. We have the Rhino ones we have from Candy Machines. Those are the ones that we run, and we do Pokemon cards and tattoos and stickers, or more tattoos or more well, we just kind of mix them up. But they do very well for us, and they're just, you know, you can just leave them and come back and check on them every so often. And, you know, you got to stuff cards while you're watching YouTube, but that's not too bad of work, I guess, while you're filling all your.
I mean, how many adults get to do that for a living?
Yeah.
Right. So where did you see the idea to get your first bulk rack? Like, where did that come from?
So we had actually previously been looking into like the snack and drink machines, and obviously
Ah.
those are a lot heavier to place. You know, they
Yeah.
have different stipulations that we weren't really 100% ready to dive into. And so for probably a year before we actually got into the novelty vending, we had been kind of toying with the idea of jumping into those and maybe, you know, placing some at some rest areas around here. And there was one night, I don't remember what exactly had led up to that point. We always wonder about it, but we still haven't figured it out. We ended up on Google, you know, scrolling through. We came across Candy Machine's website, and we realized, you know, we could start with something as small as a gumball. I think it took a while for us to make the connection that the two were basically the same thing. So
Right.
when we saw their smaller machines, we were like, this is going to be a lot easier to move. It's going to be a lot easier to fix. It's going to give us a little tiny foot into the door to see if this is something we even enjoy doing without going, you know, for a $4,000 or $5,000 machine.
We wrote like a game plan in the middle of the night. I mean, besides buying the machine, we must have wrote like a whole plan, what products we wanted to do, what we were going to try to do with it, where were we going to place it in the meantime while we tried to find a location. I mean, it was in that moment we really were trying to figure out how are we going to make this work, because that was all that I had in my savings at the time. And so it was like,
Right.
okay, this was the emergency money. So how are we going to make this work? And we, you know, I don't know. I just say every single time, I don't regret a single thing that we've done from that point on.
Natalie and I have the same relationship that you guys do. Like when we work on stuff, it seems like you guys sit down together and you know, go over all the ideas and write them down. We're very similar that way, and that's very good, because I think that you guys will be together for a very long time because of that. Because it's not just like, oh, he's working on this and I'm working on that. You know what I mean? Like you guys are doing everything together. So that makes me feel very good, because I think you guys, the projects you work, and then when you accomplish them together, then it makes you even stronger then too. So very cool. That's very cool how you guys work together like that. That's awesome.
It's definitely a blessing and a curse, because whenever one of us has an idea, somebody will probably propose it and the other person will be like, yeah, but have you thought of this? And so we'll just go back and forth, just picking apart every idea. But what it comes out to in the end is just so much better than either of us could have thought of on our own.
On your own,
So
yeah.
it's a good thing, but it's led to some difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Effective arguments.
Well, it's very easy to get, you know, the stars in your eyes and be so excited about something. And sometimes you need to have that person bring you back down to earth and, you know, straighten you out a little bit. So that's pretty normal. So, you know, that's a good thing to have, because you can balance
Yeah.
each other out that way. So very cool. So tell us something. It doesn't have to be like super personal, but something personal that maybe your viewers or people that know, that have watched you or met you or whatever, that may not know about you guys that's different or unique that they may not know. Anything you guys can think of?
Well,
Like,
we're
are you
both
Star
home
Wars
care
nerds?
workers.
What were you gonna say?
We're
What'd you say?
both home care workers through the state, so we're state caregivers. Let's see. I like playing games, bike riding, and walking, because we live right in the national forest where we're at.
Gosh, I wish I had like any personality trait outside of business.
Yeah.
No kidding.
But no. I play a lot of Sims.
Yeah. What about hobbies? Do you guys have any like hobbies you do? Do you like work on like woodworking or anything like on the side that you do for fun, like personal things?
I have always really enjoyed making videos, which kind of, you know, is what brought us into the actual online vending
Yeah.
community. And so, yeah, when we're not working on the business, I'm kind of just thinking of other ways to utilize that and, you know, try new things. So,
I mean, we were just talking about yesterday how we want to start in the next year. So getting an ice cream truck going in our store and putting our Tinker's brand on it, parking it from the store, and just running around our neighborhood. We're pretty much what you find on YouTube when you watch us. We're very similar to that in real life. We're not really like making a stage face. We're not talking like we're in front of a camera, you know, just because we're in front of a camera. It's literally how we are. And
Yeah.
besides, I mean, our normal hobbies, like I can tell you I have like 10,000 hours between CSGO and Rocket League, and otherwise my character trait's pretty similar to what it shows on video.
And I think that will carry you a long ways, because like that was the couple people I met in MBVA this past year. They're like, you're exactly like you are, and you know, like I'm like, that's who I am. Like I'm not,
We
you
thought
know,
that
I'm not
too.
putting on a show, you know, like I'm just a normal person, just like everybody else. And so is Amelia and Sam and Natalie. We're all normal, you know. So yeah, we don't put on a show. So there's no point in that. It's like you don't want to be somebody you're not, you know. And I think that makes it
Yeah.
more real. So it's good to see that and hear that. So what do you think so far together your biggest failure and your biggest success has been?
Ooh. I think our
Type of job interview.
biggest success, I don't know about you. So my opinion, our biggest success has been not stopping with the last thing that we learned and trying to progressively expand from that idea into something different. Like the toy store, I know a lot, and this is something I was thinking about last night. A lot of people in the industry that me and you are in, we immediately try to figure out how can we get into an arcade immediately. And one of the things we thought of is we don't know a lot about fixing machines yet. We don't know a lot about the arcade space, but we know a lot about trading cards. We know a lot about coins. We know a lot about toys. So that was a really good moving in space. You know, we have retail experience. So that was something that we thought maybe was better fit for us. I'm trying to think of what our failure has been.
And going on that effect real quick, like we learned that the hard way. So you're smart that you thought about that first, because we decided that that's what we wanted to do, and we had a location that wanted arcade machines, and so we went and bought some, and then brought them home, and then you turn them on, and everything's supposed to work, and it doesn't, and you open up the back of one of those things, and it's a whole nother world. Like, I mean, it's just, I mean, there's 5 or 6 boards, and they all do different things and how they work and all that kind of stuff. So it's good that you thought that through, because like I noticed you guys bought one, you know, that one that's on the pedestal that you brought home, that Dragon's Lair. Like that's kind of the newer version of what's out there now, and that's a pretty easy fix. There's not a lot going on in that machine. So for something like that, that's a great start. Or you know, you getting into like you know, those, we have some of those you guys were talking about too, the arcades and those, and they're really simple, but they, you know, they're not built as well, and they're not going to last as long, and that kind of stuff. But it's an easy way to get in and have a few machines kind of floating around. But yeah, we learned the hard way that, you know, those are there, but they're a lot of work. So what do you think your biggest failure? Do you have one? That's pretty awesome.
I'm sure there's plenty of things that we could say, but the problem is, you know, we kind of look at every failure as a learning opportunity, and so I guess maybe like get out of our rental thinking we were going to buy a house in a year.
Yeah, when we were renting and we had our own house, I mean, it was a great rent of like 700. It was a 4-bedroom house, great yard. And I think at the time we moved out because we were starting school, we wanted to try to save up for a house, and we had all these plans. And one thing that we kind of learned is you can have a really good picture of what you want to see happen within a year or two, and it's going to change. So it's just kind of good to know that ahead of time at this point.
Right.
But I wouldn't even say that that really was a failure, because we made the most out of it, and now we're in a position way better than where we were at the time. So it's easy to forget about possibly the negatives if you immediately, you know, put a positive spin on it and you say, well, this, you know, helped me learn why I'm moving on to what I'm doing now. So it's really hard to actually remember anything that is negative, honestly. We're very glass half full people.
And candy in our route.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, candy sucks. Honestly, it really does. Gumballs are okay, but candy's just, it's not worth it.
Yeah, my grandma always told me growing up, you know, all my life, she always said everything happens for a reason, and there's a reason that it happened. You need to learn from it. And the biggest time I remember that, as I bought an old Volkswagen Beetle that I was gonna fix up, and I was sitting underneath the carport at my parents' house, and I went to back it up, and I had the door open because I was looking behind me, because I couldn't see out the back, and the door got caught on like the wall, you know, and like bent the door backwards. And got out, and I was screaming, and I was so mad. And I was like, you know, and my grandma comes out, she's like, what happened? You know, and I said, no, I told her. She goes, well, at least you got to do it yourself. At least somebody didn't come and knock, you know, run into you on the side of the parking lot. I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. You know, but you get so mad, and it's like, well, you know, and it ended up that our neighbor fixed cars, and he came over and he fixed it all up for me. And I was like, oh man, that's great. So it worked out, but it was just like, her thing was like, don't stress, you know, everything's easy, and it's supposed to happen for that reason. So yeah,
like
great attitude, awesome attitude. So, so I have 2 questions that are kind of similar, but they're different. So one is, what's your favorite product that you sell, but what is your best product that you sell? So like maybe you love like Ninja Turtles and those are your favorite stuffed animals, but Mario sells better. You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys think the best seller is, and what do you think your favorite is that you sell? Like, what do you love the most?
I have an answer for every single category, so I don't know if they would align with yours.
So our toy explosion does really well, and I think it tends to do pretty well for everybody that we've talked to. And I guess as far as capsules go, that would probably be our best seller next to like the good stuff and Pokeballs. Favorite product, I gotta say, is probably stickers, just in general. I just really like the stickers.
I think Pokemon cards do really well when they're packaged in a claw machine as well as in a sticker machine. So those are probably our best in the fact that they're kind of interchangeable in a bunch of different areas of vending. I think Blow Pop Gum is the best-selling gum. Toy Explosion is the best-selling 1-inch capsule, and Pokeball is the best-selling 2-inch capsule.
Nice.
Probably Pokemon, because those are in 2 types of machines.
I could listen to Michael all day. He cracks me up. He's got that smart brain like my oldest son, and he talks exactly the same. Where he's got like.
I really liked your kids. Your kids are so smart.
I mean, you haven't even met my oldest son, and he's the smart one of the 3. And there's a third. Yeah, he's the one that does all the drawings and the artwork and stuff that's behind me.
Oh.
But he's the one that's in all the advanced classes and super intelligent, and he reminds me a lot of you because he breaks things down in his brain, but he does it super quick. It's like David's like that too. Like if you talk to David for a while, like you'll listen to him and he'll just like, he's fast. I mean, like, when it comes to numbers and calculations and that kind of stuff, David's really good at that kind of stuff. So that's David from Extreme Vending, if that's what I'm talking about. But yeah. So then, so we did that one. So what do you think? What do you see trending now in the industry, maybe since compared to when you started? And it may just be your view has changed, or what do you think the next big thing is that you guys think is coming around maybe towards the end of this year or next year?
I feel like I was just thinking about this, but I don't remember what I was thinking at the time.
In terms of like what's trending, but do you mean like as a product or just like everything in the industry as a whole? Like,
so like before you guys got started, what happened was like there was kind of like there was a split in the industry. So there used to be like it was bulk and then there was amusement. And so they were kind of like there was a line, and then mini claw machines started coming into the industry, and that made this huge shift. And so where people that were primarily bulk started picking up on some of these mini claw machines and stuff like that. And so that was a big shift. And so we're starting to see like a lot of vendors are crossing over. So I was just thinking, do you see anything like that? Since I can see your faces that you do, so I'll just let you go.
She's going to give you a history lesson for a minute.
Okay. No, I'm not. So I think that we're going to see more like 4-inch capsules coming in with the electronic bulk machines. Maybe not 4-inch, but 3-inch capsules that can hold bigger items in them. And I think eventually we're going to start seeing people doing more like retail vending where it's the electronic bulk, but you can get, if you go over and look at, Japan's vending system, you can get a pair of socks from a vending machine because, you need a pair of socks or basically whatever you could want. I think we're going to start seeing more of that over here with the electronic bulk becoming more popular.
I really thought you were going to get more into like how Nyax kind of became such a big shift with mini claws and how they adaptate. Yeah, you should tell them about that because that was a really interesting.
Okay, well, I got to sit down and talk with Kevin a little bit about how the partnership with Nyax started, and it was just interesting how Nyax and the mini claws were like a bridge into that side of the industry to kind of open people's open people up to the idea of the electronic bulk, because before it was mostly just the, like you said, amusement or the bulk side alone of the industry, and that was the little gateway that kind of tied the two of them together and got people more interested in what the possibilities were for electronic vending.
I think with that, Nyax kind of being something that keeps getting like further implemented in the new mini claws, and being able to have different price denominations. Like on old snack and drink machines, it was kind of like $1 used to be like the only like denomination that would go up with credit card readers. So I think the fact that you can get multiple denominations of like how much you want to spend on a mini claw now, and those are the easiest thing to move around, and the products are starting to grow with them. They're just going to keep making further adaptations of more portable and price-friendly claw machines or amusement devices in general. We might start finding that they have actual arcade-style machines that are starting to become more portable-friendly and come with credit card readers already on them. So I think the biggest thing in my eyes is Nyax is going to keep trying to implement new ways to make things more, entry level friendly for people like us. And I think the mini claws are really what started that movement of people like, us who didn't have much money to begin with. So I don't know, that's something I think that's going to keep growing, stuff that we don't realize yet.
Yeah. Well, I think that your barrier to entry is so much lower compared to, a $3,000 or $4,000 claw machine and a giant thing that you have to try to find somewhere to put. Like, it's not like that anymore. It's so easy to place them. They're so inexpensive. And I just think that now, like you said, with the way that people are spending their money, they're not carrying cash as much as they used to, or change or stuff like that. So having the implementation of Nayax or Kiosoft or any of these other ones that are out there that help you get more sales, which they do, and monitor machines and all the other benefits you can do with it. So there's huge shifts, and that's the kind of stuff I was talking about, is that you started with bulk and then you got into minis and then you went to the show, and then you're like, holy cow, there's a whole nother, realm out there. And there is, less expensive video games you can buy and all kinds of other things too. But I think you're right. So very good. Who are your favorite people to follow in the business, and who do you look up to since the beginning?
That's easy. I think we have the same answer.
Okay, so you can go ahead and go first.
I was going to say David, Matt, and Howard Hospitality. Easy.
Aw.
Okay, so all three of those, but I was gonna throw Cole Green in there just because I think he has a phenomenal head on his shoulders, and he's been doing it forever. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and for
one
being
more on
this young.
top of Cole.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's one vendor I feel like who hasn't been a lot in like the scene of, all the rest of us who were able to meet at NBVA, and I'm hoping that they show up at this next year's NBVA, and it's Topline FIFINE. It's one of my favorite YouTubers. He makes like 2 to 3 minute videos where he starts off going to a variety of different machines. He'll do honor boxes, snack and drink, bulk. So it's refreshing to see how much he's dabbled in the vending industry. But then towards the end of his videos, he goes to like Goodwills and thrift stores and shows the stuff you can flip. So I just think that he fills a lot in 3 minutes. So I'm betting that people almost sit through his videos like beginning to end almost every time. I love watching his videos.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the whole thing is it's got variety, which is awesome. Yeah, and he's a really cool guy too, so that makes it all the much better. But yeah, Cole, was nice to meet him in person in MBVA. That was awesome. It was fun to meet all the people that I've talked to, but I've never got to meet in person, so it was very cool. So what book, movie, or television show has shaped your career or life the most?
Atomic Habits.
I feel like that's so generic, but yes, Atomic Habits, unfortunately.
What is it?
Atomic Habits. It's a book about. Yeah, I don't know if you've read a lot about it or. Oh, okay, yep. That's a good one. It's funny. There's certain books that we like to read just to, if we know that they have differences in opinions, we'll read both and try to like find the middle ground. But I really liked reading like Total Money Makeover, Rich Dad Poor Dad, because those were almost like use debt, don't use debt, and it's like, okay, so why? And then Atomic Habits as for why you should think about the stuff that you're doing and kind of like retrain your brain to do things that are more positive in your life. There's another that it's a big title, How to Fail. You know what you want to talk about? The Dilbert one? It's like, I don't remember the exact title, but it's basically how to like fail big but still win, basically. So like how to keep failing and like end up winning. I have the book, I just can't remember the title. It's a long one, but
what about television shows or movies? Are you guys into any series? Is there a favorite series you guys watch, or like maybe growing up you loved a lot?
I feel like we watch more YouTube now than anything else. And a lot of that just comes from the fact that like even though we're in vending right now, we really like to see a little bit of everything because vending may not be end game for us, even though we'll always still plan to do it. So I think we just really spend a lot more time looking at individuals' experiences, and I mean,
Shark Tank is pretty fun.
Yeah, I watch it. I like to see what people bring. The shark people drive me nuts. Like listening to them, like there's obnoxious and then there's really obnoxious, and so I get like, I'm like, oh really? You're just, I mean, come on. I know it's for yeah, like I know that, and I know it's for TV, but like really, like there's very few. I don't even think there's any that I could watch now, like reality TV shows that I could actually be like, oh yeah, I'd be excited about it. Like back in the day when it was new, it was like, oh really? Is that really happening? And you were like into it. But now I'm just like, like I just can't do it. But where YouTube is like reality TV almost, for most people, they're filming their lives and that to me is real, and I like that. So especially the way you guys do your videos, it's really neat to see how you, and for those of you who don't know, I mean, you guys are opening your own toy, candy, possibly ice cream, a little bit of everything store where you live in Oregon. And you're basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Like logging the whole process through video, which is awesome. So if you guys haven't caught their channel, Stinker Toys and Hobbies, get on there and watch they're vlogging the whole thing, and it's very cool. So I'm very excited for you guys. It's a cool space.
One more book. There's one more book that I just thought of, and it was the 12-week year, and I just sat through probably right before we started getting the things for the store, and it basically goes over how, you will become more productive if you look at your year as just like a 3-month increment of time, because it lets you set like tangible short-term goals for what you want to get done. And so it's kind of basically doing away with the idea of getting everything done in 1 year, because a lot of people will get super productive at the end of the year when they know they really, really need to like catch up for everything they need to do. But the rest of the year, they just don't do anything because they think they have a lot of time. So I think that one was one that really stuck with me recently. And I mean, it's helped a little bit.
Well, and it's cool too, being how, like, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you guys?
23 and 24.
23 and 24. So the fact that you're young and you read is also unusual, because most kids nowadays don't read. They just don't, So like Amelia and Sam, they don't read. They're super into video games and TikTok and the stuff that they do. But then my oldest son, like you, Michael, he reads, and he's super into books and stuff.
It's funny you mentioned that, because actually one of the most memorable parts of NBVA is the plane ride home, because we were sitting there waiting for our plane to show up so we could, on board. And there was this little girl who was sitting with her mom, and her mom, I think she was like crocheting or knitting. She was probably in her 30s, but the girl must have been about 7 or 8, and she was quiet, and she pulled out her backpack all proper, and she pulled out a book and started reading. And I was like, I don't know if I've seen that in the last like decade. I'm not even kidding. I don't think I've seen that in person in a long time. And that was just so refreshing. And I think about that a lot more than almost the whole rest of the trip, because the trip, we expected really crazy things to see and like, great people to meet, but that was just like kind of shocking. And it's a little sad that it was, but it just was.
And it's sad. It is. You're right. It's 100%. It's sad. And it's like, I read books, I mean, all through college and everything. And it's like, I enjoyed reading books, and, but, things weren't like they were now. I mean, or are now. I mean, internet just came around like when I was just in the end of my college career. So things changed a lot, when that happened. But for sure, I mean, it's very rare. I'm glad that our schools here, they make them read all the way through the end of high school, which is good. So hopefully they'll carry a little bit of it, but yeah. So next question is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh my gosh, stopping time.
Huh?
Stopping time.
Stopping time?
See in the future.
See in the future?
I want that one, but I would stop time.
Actually, I don't know. I think I'd want to be selective. I don't want to see like too much of the future. Like, I don't want to know how I die. But I would like to know, like, when the next Powerball numbers are going to run and stuff. That would let us retire quick.
Oh, that was awesome. Very good. What would be one idea that, since you guys got started, or maybe in the beginning you heard, that you heard the experts in the field say, or maybe watched a video on, or whatever, that you disagree with, that you learned that's not true or that's different? Go ahead.
Secretive about information. Like,
gatekeeping.
I think that, people are going to get their information one way or another, and it makes more sense to support the people around you than, basically learn for yourself and then not ever help anybody else out. And that is one thing that I've just kind of disagreed with from day one.
We've never had any hard feelings to see people make money, selling information, because a lot of people do that, and that's totally fine if that's what they do. But we're not the kind of people that would ever sell information. So if they're going to get information from us, they're going to get it for free. We're really transparent that we don't know everything, and that honestly, a lot of what we learn is by making videos, not knowing things, and then having people recorrect us on our comments, which is really fun for us. So we would never sell information if we're not even 100% sure we have it as the full picture. So
yeah. Well, and I don't think you could ever know it all. And I think that you'll notice like we never sell anything that we have products now on our website that we're going to be selling, but they're products that we believe in and that we think will help people. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why we sell them. And there was a lot of work that went into making them and doing them. So we're trying to, yeah, make a little bit of money on them, but it's only
Yeah.
Of course.
because we spent that time and effort, and we think it will help people. So,
See, and
but
that's
I think,
where, like, I think, sorry,
no,
and
it's all
that's
right.
where
Go
I
ahead.
think that's where I think it's a good thing because, there are other ways for people to support a small channel or even a larger channel without having to put information that in most cases should or already is readily available behind a paywall.
Right. That's all that it is. I mean, what the products that you're making, they're solving big problems. And if you're making a product or doing anything that's a good service for any community, that is worth your money. I mean, that's worth having people support you. But I think it's like she said, if there's information that can be shared freely, but people are trying to make some money off of it, and it's just information they could learn anywhere else, that's where I think, the line is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you'll notice we've never sold anything, and I'll spend hours and hours and hours on the phone with people, on a weekly basis because I drive. Our routes are really far from our house, so people send me messages like in the morning, and I'm like, hey, in like 30 minutes when I get out of the shower, I'm gonna have to drive for 45 minutes. You want to talk on the phone, and I'll just talk to people for 45 minutes, all the time, and there's no dumb questions, and we don't know it all. We give our opinions on stuff, and even on Wednesday nights, like Matt, David, and I are the first to say that we don't know everything. And I posted in Facebook today, I'm like, I have an old toy soldier machine that I know nothing about and don't know how to program. Can you help me? And everybody was super supportive. So I would love to know everything, but I don't think I really feel the same way that helping people, there's so much more gratification that comes out of helping somebody else succeed and do well, and then them come up to you and be like, man, dude, you rock, thank you, I appreciate that. And it's like you don't do it for that reason, but it does feel really good to see people
Right.
succeed, and I think that's pretty awesome. And then the best part is those people the following week or 2 weeks later, like you guys, will go in the Discord or make a video or whatever, and then help more people. And that's what we like to see happen, is that they're paying it forward, and that's awesome, because when you get busy or you get, the three of us can't go on, the Discord all the time and answer all the questions, but there's people in there that can, and they're helping all those people. So it's very cool. It's a cool industry. The Discord's amazing, and the group that we all belong to is amazing, and everybody's super super helpful. And there's always going to be a bad egg here and there, but you know what? They don't last very long, so it's all good. So,
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, the industry has been overwhelmingly positive. I guess it's just like the once in a while where you see somebody being like, why are you not sharing this information with everybody? It's like, well, because I feel like it should be readily available. I don't.
do you know
Typically,
why
even
they
like
you know why they get
five of those
upset?
problems.
Because they're scared. They're scared that somebody's gonna come and take their location and stuff. But if they took care of their locations and they do a good job, they're not gonna have that problem. But the people, they get scared, and that's on them. Let them get scared. So keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. You guys are doing a great job. So, um, have you ever had to deal with a rude customer or a rude location? And do you have a good story about that?
That kind of happened like a couple weeks ago.
Well, I heard.
Lady that called.
Oh yeah, I had one lady. Yeah, I guess. When you said rude customer, I was like, oh yeah, because we've done lots of retail and managing, so I was like, oh gosh. But no, I think the only bad vending experience we had was I just had a lady call me a couple weeks ago. I serviced, like you said, you go 45 minutes out to do your route, and we're in the same boat. In fact, it can go up to like an hour and a half. And I had just left to head back home. Probably it was like 30, 40 minutes in, and a mom called me that they were using one of our bulk machines and it didn't dispense, and she was upset. And I was like, 100% understand. If you want to leave some information, I can, give you some toys and a refund. And typically, if someone's put in $1 and it eats it, I not only give them the price, but I usually give them like $5 back because I want them to feel like we take it seriously. But
Yeah.
she sounded like she just wanted to complain on the phone, and that was fine. And I listened, and then she was like, okay, never mind, and hung up. And I immediately called her, and I was just like, I think this might have been the first, unhappy customer, because like I would have made it right and then some. But it's just like we're still in a privileged position to do vending and be able to do stuff from a distance, and make kids happy for the most part and earn an income without being there. So it didn't bother me. It was actually kind of think it was one of your family members at one point that said, like, once you start getting hate, you've started to make it. And so as soon as I heard that, I was just like, well, you know, I guess we're doing something well, because now we're getting every kind of person, you know, who's getting a hold of us. But I didn't think too much about it.
Yeah, we've had a few of those where people lost some money. Usually we can Venmo them some cash back or something like over the phone. Because usually it's younger people. The older people, they don't know how to Venmo and stuff. So they, you know, we're not able to do that whole Venmo thing with them. But, you know, and a lot of times they just want to hear themselves complain, which is totally fine. But usually, like, you know, we can leave prizes for them or all kinds of stuff. So that's great. You guys did that. That's, you know, and like you said, I mean, you can't make everybody happy, but at least you answered your phone. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't even do that. They just send it to voicemail and they won't call them back. And so, yep. So this one's well, I don't even know. That's kind of like the first question well, I guess it's not. What is a common myth that you think in the vending industry, besides sharing information? Like, what kind of myth do you think that people think of within the either business owners or people in the industry, or anything that you've learned that you think is a common myth that may not be true?
I guess I wouldn't necessarily call this a myth, but I think there's an expectation that a lot of locations will do incredibly well, and you kind of have to hunt those locations down.
Yeah.
And so it's more realistic to expect a modest income from a location than it is to expect, you know, a multi-$100 location every single month.
Yeah.
And then I guess on that same front, one thing we've noticed is when we place a machine, it's usually the first week or so, it'll have a huge uptick in sales while people are getting used to it. And then you'll kind of see it mellow out and go to what it'll actually be making.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think there was someone who said that we should move a location at some point, because we had one location that was making 100 a month, and we had like one or two that were making 600 a month. But I think it's also good to kind of keep in mind that that's just the difference in the industry. It doesn't mean that we're going to find, you know, another $600 a month one. And I think 100 a month for a miniature claw machine is still fair, and it's, you know, it all averages out. So I don't think we should be all searching for those $1,000 a month locations. I think you should be just trying to get those machines out and build relationships. And that's going to do a lot more for you.
100%. And they will pay for themselves, you know, over time. And I think that you're right. And I think that $50, well, I mean, $100 a month is still better than in your garage. So if it's making money and you don't have another location, then it's still making money. So find somewhere else to put it, sure. But also, like, how's that going to affect your relationship with that location? And would that have turned into something else since it was next to 15 other great locations that you just don't have yet? Then maybe you should keep it there. You know, there's a whole bunch of factors. So 100%. What advice? Oh, wait, I missed one. Okay. What is your favorite part of vending, and what's your least favorite part of vending?
Least favorite is the drive.
Okay. Well, his least favorite's the drive. I think my favorite part is getting to go in and, like, usually when we restock our bulk machines or our claws, we'll go ahead and leave like a little prize on like the coin mech for kids when they come in. And I've only ever gotten to actually see it a couple different times, but watching kids actually find those prizes is just so cute.
The highway that we have to drive to go service most of our machines is kind of notoriously known as one of the worst ones in Oregon, one of the least safe ones. And we've had our share of accidents from people speeding. There's no side parts for cops to stay and watch people. And a lot of really close things happen. It happens almost every time we go to town. And this last Christmas Eve, I crashed my truck, which is what we were running the business out of. And I did that like 60 miles per hour because of black ice. So I think every time I go to town now, I get a little bit nervous because I know that it's not monitored closely. You know, there's a lot of landslides, we've had trees fall, and so that is definitely my least favorite part about it.
As awful as the situation was, you know, we were really lucky he was okay, but I will say when I pulled up to go, I'd driven our car down to go pick him up and take him to the hospital because his airbag had gone off. He had 911 on the phone on one hand and was using his other free hand to grab one handful at a time of vending prizes and put them in the car because he knew that was going to be what replaced his truck.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're okay.
And hilarious situation.
You know, glad you're okay. And but I have to say too, and I tell the kids and Natalie, because I have to fill a lot of our machines during the week, because I work from home, and so they're at school and Natalie's at work, and it's the worst part. It is the worst part, and I think that people, me and Natalie and I were having this conversation at lunch. We went to McDonald's and got some chicken nuggets because we hadn't had chicken nuggets forever yesterday, and we're out doing vending stuff, and we're like, we should go there, and so we went there. And we sat and like watched people for like 15 or 20 minutes while we're waiting for our food. And like people just don't consider other people anymore for anything. Like that, it's like there's nobody else in the world but them. And that, and it's that way on the road, it's even worse. Like they'll just cut you off. They don't pay attention. Like they know you're coming up on behind them, but they won't move over. Like they're just, it's like they just don't care. And nobody is nice to each other anymore. And it's really sad. And it's really bad on the road. So I know where you're coming from.
Where I thought you were going with that is that when you said you went to McDonald's and you're sitting like 15 minutes, I thought you were going to say that they needed a machine and like, oh, people just need a machine for something to do. I thought you were going to say that's the biggest
That
problem.
was the longest I've ever waited for chicken nuggets in my life, and it was a new location near where our route was, and even Natalie said like, this is like the longest ever, and I'm like, I know, for chicken nuggets, like, and so it was funny because like we both been on a diet and we've lost quite a bit of weight, and we haven't had anything like that, so we're really excited, so we're sitting there like all in anticipation for our chicken nuggets, and it was like almost 20 minutes by the time we got them. Like, how does that happen at McDonald's? But anyways, off topic. So what do you think, so your favorite part, what is your favorite part, Michael, about the vending business?
Favorite part about the vending business is that you are making a lot more people smile than not smile. I think that's kind of the biggest thing about it. And it lets you pursue other creative adventures without having to be in that place and dedicate your time, because your time is your most valuable thing that you can have. That's my favorite.
Yeah. And it sounds like your mind's always working and that you're always planning the next thing together, which is great.
It is so funny because we will literally we'll say we're not going to talk about business anymore today because we will literally talk ourselves silly, like out of breath, exhausted, can't say another word. And then like 5 minutes later, we're right in the middle of another business conversation. We have no idea how we got there. And we have to tell ourselves again, nope, no more of that today.
Bad thing.
Yeah. Bad thing, but good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What advice would you guys give to new and old business owners, or those people starting out getting into the business? What would be your advice?
Just start.
I think a lot of people wait until they're ready to start something, but you just never really will be 100% ready to do it. You kind of just have to get it done. And I think that's what got us into this business to start with was, we could think about it over and over and over and over again. We could talk about it endlessly, but until we actually bought that first machine, it was just a concept and it wasn't an actual like, okay, now we have to make this happen.
Right.
I've always believed that worrying and overthinking the things that can go wrong, even if everything you imagine happens, it's still less bad because you don't have the anticipation. And I think that still applies for starting a business. You can imagine all the things that you need to do, what can go wrong, but if you just start it, you can finally start tackling those things, not just letting them pile in your head. Our dog saw a spider, and so she's trying to get it. Like, she has a animosity against spiders.
Well, good. That's good for you guys, right? Because they're pretty
really
big.
is.
They're pretty big up there, aren't they? You guys got some pretty.
They
big
are,
spiders.
and we have giant trees everywhere, so they kind of just like fall, and that's a little frustrating. But
she has great time with it, so I'm not complaining. Yeah. But I don't like them.
Enrichment.
Yeah. So what can everybody expect from you next? Like, what's your next big thing besides the business? We know you're doing your store, but what's next besides that?
We've talked about getting a box truck and putting together some kind of portable arcade for fairs and stuff, kind of how a few people have done. But ideally, we want that box truck to turn into more than just one thing. We want anything that we do with it to be removable so we can use it for a different type of business. So I guess the next big thing is just investing in a box truck and then figuring out what we want to do. But like you said, right now we're working on getting the storefront put together. So that's the big thing at the moment.
I think with the store being open, that's going to be such a large part of like not only like a retail space, but like an office space for us to work out of and make better quality videos with a great backdrop finally. And it's going to kind of represent us better. I think one of the things that we both would really like to set up. Where did it go, Rayobi? She lost it. That's the worst. Okay, well, I think one of the things that we really would like to set up is a website to be functional. We've had a website since we started a long time ago. We wanted to start actually serving a purpose for the community, and we've had some really good ideas we wanted to try to implement, but we're trying to take it one step at a time because we keep our hands tied so often that we don't want to, start it and have it be halfway useful. If it's something we want to try, we want to give it our all and see how it does and kind of get, the response from, you guys and people in the Discord and see if it's any use. So that's something we want to start playing around with a little bit too.
Why don't you? We didn't really cover it too much. Why don't you guys tell everybody what your plans are with the store and how far you've gotten and where you are with it so far?
Well, we took a little bit of a break from making videos about it this week, but really all we've done I guess in that gap period is added a little bit of inventory. We're hoping to put together a little place for the kids here in this town because we grew up in this town. There really is nothing for kids to do here, like at all, basically. And we want it to be something that offers something free to the community. I think we probably already talked to you about it a little bit, doing some of the free to play machines in there with our pay to play machines. But we also want to make sure that it offers some affordable options to the community when it comes to like concessions and just general gift items. So we put together a little concession menu, and we were able to keep everything on that menu at $1.50 or less, and we're still doubling or quadrupling everything we're making on that. So really, it's just making sure that there's affordable and accessible fun for the kids in the community because, I mean, I think the biggest thing I think about is during the summertime when kids are out of school, I see so many kids walking up and down this really busy highway that goes straight through town. It's not safe. There's no sidewalks and there's nowhere for them to go spend their time.
Yeah.
And so that's a big concern for me. I want to bring something to kind of help mitigate that problem.
One of the things that we kind of benefited from by driving so far to go do our routes, we have to see a lot of businesses that have really cool stuff that our town doesn't have. And one of the places that we service is our fudge shop, which makes really, really good fudge. And it's $5 a piece. And so it's a pretty affordable compared to alternatives. And one of the things that we're trying to do is take a lot of these different businesses and skills that they have at the price that they have and bring it to our town and not even upcharge it. Just keep it at that price point because we can wholesale from them or be, kind of act as a vendor. And so we might buy them at $3.50 or $4, and we could charge $6 or $7. But I think that's one of the biggest selling points is all the services and products we want to offer that this town doesn't have. We want to have it be the same exact good price so that they're able to come to us and not feel like they're being gypped at all.
Or that they have to drive, right?
Exactly.
What were you saying?
The rent price gives us a lot of flexibility because I don't know if you've seen the video where we mentioned it or not, but we're only paying $175 for the space. And you can't find rent like that anywhere. So we have
office space for that price.
So we have the flexibility to offer lower prices and take a smaller cut of the profit to be able to provide something at a lower cost here in town, which is kind of a huge need because this isn't really like a super economically like robust area.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking too, I was going to ask you guys, I don't know if you guys have a boba shop in town, but I know that to get started in boba like is really inexpensive. Like the machines are really cheap and it's not expensive to make them and there's a lot of profit in them. So it might be something if you're looking for something for the kids that they would be addicted to and come by every day they're walking by is pick up a boba and it might bring them in. I was thinking about that for you guys because I know like our kids go nuts for them and there's nothing like that in town here. And so, but not having, because there's so many things that you could do, but like, you got to buy a shaved ice machine or you got to buy this and you got to buy that and all these things where this is, you do need to get a sealing machine. But other than that, like everything is really inexpensive to make. So might be something to consider, but I know the kids go nuts for it and it might be something kind of fun. You don't have to do like the frozen ones and all that, but you could just do the tea ones, the milk tea ones. And I don't know, just a thought, but yeah.
That was one of our ideas with this box truck that we're wanting to get is, if we're not using it to go out, we want to make sure it has a window cutout so we can use that just as a storefront, snack stand or something.
Nice.
Because there isn't really anything like that. And so ideas like that will be great because if we can find a way to, make it removable so that we can use that truck for something else if we need to, then we can really do whatever we want with the space. It just gives us an extension of a really small store.
After the truck got in the accident, and that was our only big vehicle to run this business, we knew that at some point we were going to need to get another big vehicle to keep functioning effectively. And so we were looking at, like Chevy Express's Silverado, which is my favorite vehicle. It's the one that we crashed. And then we were thinking about box trucks, and box trucks have a lot more, versatility because a lot of them come with lift gates too. So that could actually let us start getting into big machine territory. But it also, like she was saying, having that stand for concessions like across from our store, that lets us keep the same rent, but pretty much double the amount that we can sell in that space. So that's something we're trying to look into.
The other thing too, it could do for you too, is that you could park it on the side of the road with your logo on it and advertise your store. So when you're not using it, it's a big billboard for you guys parked in the parking lot, which would be pretty nice too. So that's great for advertising. So what can people, we already did that one. One last question, you guys, we're at the end. So what is one final thought that you would like to leave our viewers with, or tell people, or share, or whatever you want to do?
Just get started. Get started. Put your all into it, and I would say don't risk everything. Like if you are working a job because you need to pay your bills, of course, prioritize your family, prioritize your bills, but don't waste your idle time, doing something that you don't think's in your benefit. If there's something you're passionate about, just learn about it as best as you can and try to work on it, whatever it is, because at some point you're still going to realize how much more you learned than if you never did anything at all.
100%.
I think starting the vending business, I was just talking to him about this the other day. Starting the vending business, we did that once, and I don't know why, but some part of me always thought that would be the only thing we ever started, because I think I was worried we wouldn't be able to do something like that a second time. And then once we started getting into the store and working on it, it made me realize like we could look at anything we want to do and do something with it. It's just about taking that step to do it.
Yeah, really.
Well, and I think just from not only from this hour, but from knowing you guys as long as I have, like you guys work extremely well together, and you work as a great team, and being able to sit down and like write out your lists and bounce ideas off each other and stuff, and not have one of you be like, oh, not again, like I don't want to hear about it. It's like you guys feed off each other, which is awesome, like that's a great thing. And I think that you guys have an awesome future ahead of you, and I'm very excited to see what comes next. So very cool.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining me for
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
No problem. And anything else you guys want to say before we go?
I think we're good. Go check out the Howard Hospitality website. It's got lots of awesome things on there.
Oh, thank you.
Tune in on Wednesday's live stream and join the Discord.
Yeah, thank you. Very cool. All right, you guys. Bye.